Yo, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Now, today we have got the next reveal for the elite specializations. So this time they have revealed the thief, the necromancer, and the warrior. So the elite specializations for those three, we're going to go through right now. So first up, we have the thief's one, which is going to be called the Antiquary. So this is the card, we had the teaser with the card picture, the card spec, and a lot of the player base and stuff. We weren't really sure who that was going to be for, but now we know, guys, it's definitely the thief. And yeah, so this is what they want to say. They said, so the balance of black market trade and above board commerce in Lion's Arch has tipped towards legitimacy in recent years, and the Captain's Council has banded together with several smaller factions to claim a place in the Tyrian Alliance. But the discovery of the Janfiri artifacts has started a gold rush as explorers hustle to procure rare and valuable items that no living culture can lay claim to. The somewhat enthusiastically titled antiquaries pride themselves on their scholarly appreciation for the artifacts they acquire. Many even keep a few in their private collections, ready to impress colleagues at the tavern or blindside foes on the battlefield. And whether they're priory historians or pirates, Lion's Arch is still their favored nexus for trading and selling their wares and knowledge. So basically, guys, obviously they're a thief, right? And what these antiquaries are doing is they have no longer steal material and need for the fun of it. So what they do is they have help from their loyal but not necessarily reliable Skrit assistants. So antiquaries can plunder precious artifacts from their opponents and turn their random spoils into improvised weapons. So antiquaries can even break the rules of regular combat, allowing them to reverse a dire situation, or at the very least, take themselves and their opponents out in a blaze of glory. For the thrill-seeking player who delights in rolling the dice and adapting to any situation, no matter the outcome, look no further than the Antiquary. Now, I mean, as you can obviously see from the footage and stuff, I'm not really a huge fan, to be honest, of this one. That's just my personal opinion. This one looks a little bit gimmicky, but whatever. It's something different. It still relies on obviously stealing some stuff from your opponent. But yeah, I don't know how well this one will actually do in game, but we'll have to wait and see, obviously, when we can test these ones out in later on in August. Now, the next one here we have is the Ritualist. So the Necromancer, guys, is going to obviously now be the Ritualist, which a lot of people obviously we kind of already guessed this one. But yeah, so these are spiritual successors. Ritualism is one of Tyria's oldest professions. The practice originated in Canfa, where humans discovered that spirits could be summoned from the mist and bound to a ritualist. In practice, this was traditionally a respectful partnership between the ritualist and the ancestral spirits. But as the speaker's influence spread in recent years, so did their hastily adopted methods of forcefully binding spirits. So, necromancy and ritualism have long been considered separate disciplines, but as open hostility between the speakers and the Jade Brotherhood cools down, and Canfa becomes one of the Tyrian Alliance's strongest pillars, the Ritualist has formed ties with the necromantic communities across central Tyria, Elona, and beyond. Ritualism will gain new practitioners, networks of political support, and shared resources. This will ensure that responsible traditions are favoured over cruel shortcuts to power. Okay, so they basically wanted to say that the Ritualist draws heavy inspiration from its Guild Wars 1 counterpart. They're gonna go into a lot more details during Friday's live stream, of course, but their design goal was to capture the key elements of the profession and translate them into Guild Wars 2. And to achieve that, they started off with spirits, so depending on their skill and trait selections, they expect ritualists will be able to specialize into a support build or aggressive power-focused DPS builds. So that's interesting. So the spirits are going to be summoned while in Ritualist Shroud form, and then the Ritualist will also gain access to weapon spells as their utility type. So they're shareable, basically. They have beneficial effects with similarities to stances and venoms. Some are applied for a specific duration, and then others get applied as stacks. So, you know, that's going to be interesting to see. And I do like, even though I don't main a Necro, I do enjoy, I have one as an alt, and I do like the aesthetic of the class. So it's going to be interesting. I'll be interested to try out the Ritualist when it comes out for sure. And then we have the Paragon, guys. So this one is to do with the warriors. So Elona, which is the land of the golden sun, a once opulent dynasty and tyrone of nations scarred by war, pestilence, and the massacrations of divines and dragons over the centuries. In times of crisis, the nations of Elona could count on its most steadfast and inspiring of warriors, the Paragons, to serve as an unyielding phalanx against their foes without and within. So, in the past, these spear and shield wielding fighters were a favoured specialisation among the storied sun spears. However, the practice faded into obscurity after the second coming of Palawa Joko, who saw the sun spears summarily crushed and twisted into the mordant crescent. The inheritors of the practice eventually re-emerged in the years following Joko's demise. Today, the Paragons are still known for conjuring golden ethereal wings and shouting bolstering chants and commands to empower their allies, and it demoralizes the enemies. So, the Paragon is a staple pillar of Guild Wars 2 lore, and its elite specialization carries on the traditions of its original iteration. While the spears that were introduced in Janfield Wilds have already brought one of the Paragon's key aspects to warriors, this elite specialization further delves into their role as commanders and defenders of Elona. So this is going to grant them the ability to bolster and aid allies around them with chants and commands. So they have motivational chanting. So Paragons build up motivation, which is a new resource. So whenever they use a burst skill in addition to level 1 weapon bursts, Paragons are going to gain access to chants, a special burst skill that is available regardless of which weapon you have equipped. The chant skills come in two parts. So the first part occurs immediately when the skill gets used, and then the second part, the refrain, is a pulsing beneficial effect. So refrain drains motivation, and then it deactivates when it's depleted. In addition to that, the effects of the refrain become stronger depending on the current motivation level. So therefore, they are at their most effective when the Paragon stays on the front line, channeling adrenaline into bursts and then chants to keep the motivation high. And then the Paragon also gains access to commands, which functions very similar to shouts, affecting either enemies or allies around them, which then furthermore, command skills come with an additional property, which is called an echo. Now, echoes is a secondary effect that triggers a short interval after a command is used, which grants additional bonuses. However though, echoes can also be triggered early if you use a burst skill, which then allows skilled Paragons to strategically time their echo effects to turn the tide. So yeah, guys, sounding really, really good. Like I said, out of these three this week, the one that has intrigued me the most and I like the look of the most is going to be the Ritualist for the Necro. The second one for me would be the Paragon, and then the least like one that I'm interested in will be the Thieves, the Antiquary. I'm not too impressed by that one. It just looks a little bit, like I said, a little bit gimmicky, but whatever. If you enjoy that one, that's all good. So yeah, guys, I'm really excited though for the final week, which is going to be obviously week 3. So because the final, I want to see I main Elementalist. That's my class. I love being a mage and spellcaster like that. So I'm really looking forward to see what they show us for that, you know, and dive into that information. But anyway, which ones out of these three are your favorite? And leave me a comment down below, let me know, and have a beautiful day, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Peace.